Hello and welcome to the first Singapore Grand Prix for Formula FG tonight here, hosted by Race Department. I'm your host tonight, Aidan Keranen, and it's a big welcome to the two Dutch boys, Tim Engbrink and Leslie Buellacher. Welcome, boys.
Hello, Aidan. Nice to be here at the Marina Bay Street Circuit. Of course, a pretty nice track in Singapore. Oh, yeah.
Tim, are you there?
Yeah. Welcome, Aidan. Thanks for having me. And not really shocked at the qualifying results and Apex on pole. That's just actually the standard stuff right now. If you look further down the grid, you'll see the two DTKs are in 19th and last. Something you hadn't seen in quite a while. And yeah, that's actually my surprise of the day.
For sure. I mean, I'll expand on that. I don't think DTK have ever really been that low, except for, well, last week. But yes, as you said, Apex, through Daniel Harvey, is on pole today. He's ahead of Andrea Dovizioso, who, having won last week, seems pretty eager to have another win. So yes, he starts second for Viper. Then you look back and you see Pablo Deal in a much better effort. He was in 7th. Andy Graham, second race for him now, in 6th. Stefan Berner in 5th, and that could be a really interesting one, for sure. Anything else that you noticed there, Leslie?
Well, I see both two KF1s in 16th and 17th. Pretty bad effort from them. And, well, the Falcons also close to each other, but outside the top 10 in 12th and 15th. And, well, Tim Engbrink, Omer Seed and Jamie Cox completing the top 10 in 8th, 9th and 10th.
For sure, we've got a 75% race here tonight, and yeah, it'll be. I'm very interested to see what will happen, because Singapore isn't known particularly for overtaking, but I think that there's a nice mix, and will be interesting to see who's going to make any moves. And I think, especially if you look at that top 10, there's a few dark horses that could do something. If you look outside the top 10, well, you know, you look at Falcon, even with Rob Sharp, he's starting 11 places behind Daniel Harvey. It's going to be a very long day for them, you'd think. Anyhow, we'll make it over to the grid right now. Here we go, the Singapore Grand Prix. Welcome to the grid then, as we can see the fireworks going off at the end of the straight. We're here with Daniel Harvey, and we're at to 4 lights. We're up to 5 lights now. And we are away. The first Singapore Grand Prix for Formula FG is go now. Daniel Harvey through the first few corners. He seems to be fine. Behind, we see Utz's already moved up. And Dovizioso there holding off Rautavar, it seems. So no yellow flag, seems to be a decent start.
Yeah.
Back with Harvey at the front now, coming up to the Singapore Sling. We haven't got the chicane, we've just got the nice smooth left hand bend instead. On board here with Berner. Started 5th, still in 5th. Not seeing
Jacko
much
made a
movement.
pretty terrible start.
Harvey already pulling a gap to Utzer.
Yep.
They've definitely started pulling the gap back to Dovizioso. Over though, around he comes. And that there is the end of the first lap. .8 of a second to Uso. Oh, there's a collision in the background.
Ooh.
Yellow flags are out. There's a lot of collisions in the background. Rautavara and Dovizioso are involved. To the inside. Over goes Dovizioso, over and over and over. As we see one of the two KF1s and RD Racing, we'll have a look at that as well. Could be Sigalakis and Bailey. Yeah, they've hit each other as well. Oh. As Sigalakis comes back onto the track and he's hit McNamara. All seems to be fine except for the fact that Dovizioso here has got 3 wheels. So there you have it. The Australian Grand Prix winner and championship leader out at the first corner of the second lap.
Big disappointment from him.
Yeah, I won't be too happy about that.
The other culprit involved, Rautavara, now back in 21st. Also, I think Daniel Harvey lasted 3 corners in Melbourne, and Rautavara has lasted a lap in 1 corner in Singapore. So at some stage, one of the Apex drivers might get through the whole race without a problem.
That's just...
But now Joel stands for a pretty tough job trying to get the points again.
So as we have a look at it, let's put Berner into 3rd and Deals up into 4th, so it's pretty good for them so far.
At least the Dutchman on the podium right now.
Fastest lap of the race for Utsa. Harvey wrestling with the front end of that Apex. There's a look at the top 10. As you can see, just about everyone's moved up a position. That'd be courtesy of Rautavara and Dovizioso. But a few there that have moved up a bit more than that. Rob Sharp's up into 9th for Falcon already.
Said made a good start as well.
Indeed he has. He's up 4 positions and he's already in the top 10. Here we see Jamie Cox in the second NTEC.
Putting pressure on Embering. And it's still a gap of about 0.8 of a second to Harvey. So Harvey not really pulling a gap to Utser, but they are both really putting a gap to the rest of the field.
Yeah.
It's about 4 seconds back to Berner, so we'll check that in a moment.
Are there any different fuel strategies?
Well, we'll see that. I think they're all, by the looks of the front pairing, they're only about a lap different. So there's not a big difference for those two. We'll have a look back through the field. Berner here running in 3rd. If anything, I think he may have caught up just a little bit that lap. He definitely hasn't lost anything.
No.
Here's Deal. Saeed, a fantastic start so far for the turf. Andy Graham is now the lone Viper. Cox there has moved past Engbrink, so I'm not sure when that's happened. We'll see if we can find it. Here we go. Cox moving out on the main straight.
That's surprising.
That's a good move down the inside.
Pretty good move.
Yeah.
I think the best part about it was a clean move.
Nice overtake from Cox. Only a second race so far, but really experienced move.
So there's Engbrink. He's now got Sharp behind in the Falcon. Tom Barrett here. He's got Lintner right behind. So Lintner's made up a 3 spots as well. He's done pretty well for that. While we've also got Chaco. Here we go, we got Jack Huntley up 5 spots so far. Still a long way back, but not too bad. Bailey, of course, was involved with Sigalakis at the first corner, so that's why he's dropped back. And then we have Rautavara. Apex currently holding 2 of the most important positions on the track. The first car and the definitely not first car. I'll stop myself from saying last. Harvey now on lap 5. Rautavara's ended up moving up past Bailey, it seems. So the Finn definitely not taking no for an answer. Everybody says you can't overtake here. Nope, you can. Gap now out to 1.1 Harvey to Utsa, so now Harvey's starting to get a bit of a wriggle on. He's moved himself 4/10 outside of the German's reach.
But still doing a good job.
Trying to catch up, not seeming to be able.
Here is Burner. He's definitely pulled away from Deal, it would seem, and I think he's definitely catching, especially Harvey. So the race pace for Stefan Burner and Entech seems to be strong tonight. Lap 6 of 46, still plenty of time. this corner. Still a second between Harvey and Utsa.
They really matched this race.
I wonder if it's a hoping to save his tyres, hanging back a little bit out of the dirty air. As Burner's down to 1.6 to Utsa, so he's taken about 7/10 out of him through the past 2 sectors. Burner on a move here for Entech.
This is a very good job at the moment.
And as we look further down the field with the telemetry, we see a small train has formed behind Engboring, Sharp close behind. Same for the rest of the field,
We'll go
just behind them.
try to find the train. Here's Cox, he's moved out of that as we get Engboring, Sharp, Barrett, Lintner, Chaco and Sigalakis. Before we have McNamara and Hunsley. Well, Hunsley's got his own train. And this one's proper. We'll go back here. We'll enjoy a lap of Singapore from Andy Graham's car. As he chases down Omar Saeed. Seem to make up a lot of time through there. It might just be an optical illusion though.
That means we need it ground in the straight.
Of course, the Honda engine in the back of that Cedars is a pretty strong engine.
Yep.
Looking at the race values.
Over the bridge they go. This lovely sweeping right-left section and before they go underneath the grandstand here.
One of the best parts of this track.
Yep.
Unique in all its form.
Another sweeping right-left before we start to think about the main straight. And a double apex left-hander to finish off the lap.
Is it going good enough flat out?
Graham here seems to be holding his own. While we look, Burner, he's sort of stunted his moving forwards. While Utsa's made some inroads into Harvey instead. Looking back here, Jack Hunsley, 0.3 of a second to McNamara.
A big gap to the car in front.
Question is, was McNamara going to be crazy enough to try down the inside at the end of that straight? We won't know at this moment in time. It's still holding station. Seems to be the same for Burner. Oh, he has taken a little bit of time out. Starting to get to the point where the teams are going to be looking at each other. Pit stop strategy, who'll pit when, who'll pit first. Those sort of questions.
Yeah, they're interesting, especially the undercuts.
Not just the undercuts, but if they pop out in traffic. Because Stefan Burner could go for it now, try the undercut, but if he gets stuck behind that Jack Hunsley train, well, any advantage that he had is probably going to be blown to smithereens pretty quickly.
There goes his race then.
And 1.3 now.
As you see, Rory Martins, who has made more laps this race than he has lost, when he was crashed out after a few corners or laps.
Yeah, a few corners, you're correct. He's made it to 10 here. Of course, Singapore, being Singapore, 10 laps here probably feels like about 30 anywhere else. Very hard on the drivers.
Very bumpy track surface.
Haven't seen too many driver mistakes. Werner still closing in on Usa. Well, that's all well and good. It must be getting to the point where it might be a little bit of a slipstream down the straight, but it might be a little bit heavier on the steering through the corners.
Pitching up is one thing, but overtaking is another.
Here, 19th place. I think even he was a little bit surprised in getting into the points in Melbourne, but it doesn't seem like he'll be very surprised tonight. I don't know about you, but it seemed like Burner was extremely close.
Yeah, he has definitely catched up. This is going to be a nice battle for second, maybe first.
So you see,
yeah, but that's just cars on.
It's about a second between the front two.
Yeah.
Andy
As
Black
we now
there.
look at Andy Black going on to the main straight.
I think he may have made a mistake because Herbert's right on the back of him now and they've lost McNamara completely. Herbert having a look down the inside. And he's not able to get it done.
At least it looked like it.
So good defending there from Andy Black, just enough to keep Herbert behind. Here with Matt Bailey, as we can see, fantastic sponsor and great stuff to look at behind him as well.
Carrying your red lantern.
It looks like Burnham may have just dropped a little bit there. McNamara here, still right behind Hunsley. doesn't seem to be a problem with Bernie. He's fallen off a bit, it seems. We have a look at it now, and he's out to 1.4. Still pulling away from Deal though. Perhaps a little mistake there from Utsa. He's a lot closer to Burner now. He's dropped a long way off, I think. Yeah, he's dropped 0.6 of a second there to Harvey, so now it's 0.6 back to Burner.
It's 1.5 up to Harvey.
Burner's closer than Utsa thinks.
Now, if this had been a wet race, of course Burner had already moved past Utsa, but yeah, in the few years we have raced on Singapore so far, no, there's never been a rain race, so yeah,
Nope.
disappointing.
I would like to see one.
As we look back through the telemetry, and we can see little gaps popping up in certain places. The trains have started decoupling from each other. Burner here, what can he get done as we get down to a lighter fuel load? Harvey must be loving it at the moment. He's going to have his two main chasers for this race seem to be that they might be fighting with each other rather than him. So look back and it looked like Deal was going to start coming under pressure from Saeed. We'll go back, we'll have a check of that. Field as we see Engbrink still holding Rob Sharp behind. Barrett still holding 10th place. Chaco and Sigalakis. Hunsley, McNamara, Black's gotten involved into it now as well. Herbert, Martins, Rinyaho, Rautavara, and lastly comes Bailey. Seems to me that Burner, he's maybe just taken a little bit out of the tyres at this point in time. Struggling towards the back end of the stint. Still got good car speed, but not quite enough to be able to take it to the BRT or the Apex.
No, and he's got to remember, in about 3 or 4 laps time, the old pit stop thingy is going to happen, so he's not going to look out for that.
Here's Rinyaho. The Hunsley train has seemed to have reformed a bit. Back to the front now though. It's bringing the Bringing the time difference down, it's down to 1.1. Was at 1.5, I believe, at the start of the lap. And you just can't find anything to do. This time, as opposed to last week, he's ahead of R02, so no doubt he'll be happy about that. As we see, down to 1 second, Utsa and Harvey. That's a very interesting sound. Very silent sound coming from the back of that BRT, but it seems to be going okay as he's got himself a pit in this lap, it seems.
So the pit window will be opened with Ben Utzer's pit stop on this lap.
People are trying to break into the commentary box here. Thankfully we've got security guards ready to take them down. Little lock up there from Jamie Cox. Seems Entech aren't too worried at the moment about pitting. I think that little lockup is costing. Yeah, it's about 4/10 of a second at least.
In-ring caught a little the back of the box.
Utsa then, very interesting line into the pit lane, but he gets in there eventually. He'll be the first to pit now in this race, and we'll see who will follow him in. Saeed, Andy Graham. Sigalakis is in there. Ben Herbert's coming as well. So that's very interesting now, as we have Harvey's going to pit in at the end of this lap.
Pit at the end of this lap.
Confirmation over the radio right there. He's got 3.3 seconds back to Burner, so I'm not sure what's happened there. If Utsa slowed Burner down or anything, but Burner's now a long way behind. Burner's got the pit-in call as well.
Now the excitement all begins.
Who will pass who in these few laps?
Jamie Cox has found himself in 4th place before his pit stop. Engbrink and Sharp move up. Lintner's up into 7th now. Chaco into 8th. Hunsley's in 9th. Probably wouldn't have dreamt at the end of last season that come the second round of season 2 he would be fist pumping at the thought of being in 2nd place for a few laps. Well, in points, sorry, rather. But here he is, he's in 9th. He's got a lot of fuel on board, so he seems like he's going for a while. You find Utsa here, he's in 16th. As Cox stays out, and he's in the lead of the race now. Harvey's there in the pit lane. Chaco goes through. Out comes Harvey. Not sure what's happened to Matt Bailey there, but he's got it all wrong as Utsa pops out, and he seems to be quite a bit behind Harvey. But instead, Burner now is a long way behind the both of them, so coming into this will arguably be the final stint. They seem to be fueled mainly as actually Bernard seems like he's not going to the end. No, I think they've all got another pit stop to go.
Well, that's unexpected.
A splash and dash, it seems. Obviously, they can't make it to the end on a single stop, so that's good for us in a way.
A little bit more excitement.
I think DTK might be trying for a single stop. With Huntsley, it might actually work as well.
Cox is coming in this lap, so he won't be on a one-stop strategy.
That seems to be the line of choice for drivers tonight.
And I'll see where he'll put out.
Here comes McNamara, comes Black. Rautavara is not going to. Rinyaho is going to come in, that's going to slow down Harvey. Oots is coming flying around the corner. He's going to go straight to the inside. And there you have it. Utsa moves past Daniel Harvey thanks to a beautiful blocking maneuver there from Rinyaho. You can't blame the guy, but that's that. Utsa moves into the effective lead of the race as we're waiting for Rautavara and Huntsley to pit. Rautavara is going to be on this lap. Ooh, and Harvey makes a large mistake there. He's now got Berner right behind. So it's all gone wrong for Apex here. In the space of half a lap, Harvey's gone from many seconds ahead to not ahead, and going to have to scrap over what is effectively third. Too far away for Berner to get anything done. As we see, Utsa's pulled out 3 seconds to Harvey already.
He's really a man on a mission.
How about this, Jack Huntsley?
Back to where he belonged last season.
Yep.
A very normal view of the last season, but this year a very rare view. And DTK up front.
It does seem that the DTK they've been working on their race pace a lot. So you never know. This is the sort of things that could net them a really good return. Started 19th. He might end up pitting on the single stop. He might get somewhere around the lower points.
If he maintains the track position, then yeah, I think so.
I'll have a look in a moment. Utsa was 5.4 behind Huntsley. The start of the last sector. .4, that's now 4.6. So in a single sector, there's 0.8 of a second gone. But you've got to make the pass somewhere here. And while Utsa made a really light work of overtaking Harvey, doesn't mean that it's going to be that easy to get past Huntsley. Bailey here holding up Deal. Cox has ended up jumping Saeed. Saeed's ended up falling back quite a bit there, actually. There's Graham. Sigalakis has jumped Chaco, it seems. Lintner has moved back a lot. Herbert's there. Barrett's lost so many places it's not even funny. Burner got close then to half a second. Can't really do anything more though. Deal.
Stuck behind Bailey, who has formed a small train behind him now.
Not the sort of place you want to be locking up there. Andy Black into the Singapore sling. Very easy, that thing will not play nice.
No, that's why corners changed 2 years ago.
A number of years ago, and it's that changed version of the corner that we see tonight. Here is Bailey now under a lot of pressure from Deal. You'd think that it's almost got to happen down the end of this straight if Deal's serious about it. And they've touched. Deal down the inside. Cox is going to try to follow him through. We'll look back and we see Cox cannot follow through, but he is close, heading onto the straight. Cox is going to have a look to the inside here. Very aggressive defending there from Bailey, and he'll keep his countryman behind. Hunsley now, it must be getting very close to a pit.
About to maybe 1 lap.
Sort of side that we became accustomed to last season. Hunsley leading one of the BRTs, but alas, it's not in the way this season that you would have expected it. Hunsley here not yet pitted and getting hunted down by Utsa is the best way to put it. Another 7/10 out of the final sector. We see Deal has completely dropped Bailey, as now Cox is going to have a look. No! Rob Sharp instead was almost overtaking Cox down into the first corner. So the Matt Bailey brigade of cars continues. Cox again getting close. Again looks to the inside. Again very strong defending. Here's Utsa. Hunsley is going to pit, as you would expect.
So now it'll be interesting where he is going to be on a track after the pit stop.
It's getting to the point now, I think Utsa is definitely getting held up, so it's good timing. It's just maybe a lap too late for Utsa. Would have loved it if it had have happened a little bit quicker.
Yeah, as Harvey and Beuner have really caught up now. So the lead is ahead. Oh.
Ooh.
Hunsley there, getting it all wrong. At pit entry. Here we go, we'll
Losing
have
his
a look
front
at it again.
wing.
He comes in, round the corner, just gave it a bit too much gas, I think. Into the wall. Can forget about that front wing.
Those are mistakes you didn't see him make last season.
Oh, and he nearly got the
Try and get back.
end of the wall just then as well, so definitely
Well,
not
now
what
you-
you're used to seeing.
Now he will drop very far back because he has also changed his front.
Yeah. He'll drop far down the field.
Oh, Saeed has gotten himself into trouble here. It's one of the speedies, Engbrink, down the inside. Oh. Engbrink seems to have gotten through it fine. Jamie Cox has somewhere has gone past Bailey. I think that must have been somewhere the lap before. So we now have Deal 4.2 seconds from Cox. Sharp has lost himself 4 seconds as well. Bailey holding off Graham in the last Viper. Chaco there. Engbrink's in 10th after collecting Saeed. Lintner is up to 11th. I don't know how that team continues looking so close. Sigalakis is gone. His brakes have done. Don't know where that happened. Try to find... Hunsley's popped back out in 19th. He's ahead of Saeed, and that's probably only due to the fact that he's been hip and shouldered at the first corner. And still, Matt Bailey is holding on for dear life. As at the front it is a battle of 3. And with that is Utsa takes the leading trio across the line to start lap 25. We will take our one and only break. So here from Singapore, we'll be back right after this.